Greetings, everybody. Hope you're good. Back again with another Insta Live. Uh, Today, a bit of a difference in background, as you can see. I'm on the move, so yeah. I hope you guys are social distancing. Doing all the right necessary things. And basically obeying the rules and laws of society currently. Hold on, why is my poster not showing up? Give me a second. iPhone and its folders. But I hope you guys are really, doing the right things and observing the laws. I see you guys on the streets. Okay, I don't know why that happened, but it is what it is. Cool. Am I online? Strange. Okay, seems I'm online. Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are behaving, feeling good, living good, not drinking too much alcohol, and basically doing what is required, social distancing, wearing the mask, all that kind of stuff. It might be a bit noisy because I'm out in public right now, but let's hope it goes well. I'm just waiting for Galerekwe Maimane, she's a filmmaker, to join. And then let's get into it. So over the last few days, you probably have seen that we've gone live with digital stylists, now learn art, illustrator and design. We went the other day with what you call it? Zande Chabalala, Ushapli. So it's been an interesting time talking to all these different creatives and stuff. I hope you guys can hear me. Please give me a shout if you can hear me, so I know and that it's not too noisy. Hello Sfiso, hello Serenello, hello Theodore. Hope you guys are good. I'm just waiting for Gail to come live. I'm in a bit of a noisy space, but I think it should be good. Can you guys hear me? Someone tell me if you can hear me. Because I can't hear myself. I'm not supposed to, but yeah. But cool. I'm just waiting for Khaled to join. We'll talk about filmmaking, what it takes to become a filmmaker, what it takes to and what it takes to basically make it as a filmmaker and actually get paid to be a filmmaker. I'm interested in filmmaking also. I've made a documentary. I'm writing a film right now. So yeah, let's get into it. And let's hope the gods of the internet are with us. We don't have breakings in connections. We pray and cross our fingers.
Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
good on you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I'm praying that the gods of the internet are with us, that they won't give us bad signal.
I hope so too.
Yeah. How are you keeping?
Good, man, trying to stay busy and stay sensibly optimistic, just trying to stay up.
Yeah,
You?
that's good to hear. Yeah, on the same page. Try and get into it. Try and get moving physically and emotionally and financially. So yeah.
Exactly.
No, cool. So please introduce
100%.
yourself, who you are and what you do, where you are, all that kind of stuff. The intros.
Cool. Cool. Hi, my name is Khale. I'm a filmmaker. I'm based in Johannesburg. Yeah. I work as a
Okay.
film director in branded content and commercial work. And I do write and do short form and eventually want to do long form, of course, the dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. So what got you into film directing? How did you get into it? I mean, yeah. So tell us just a quick journey around that.
Okay. So I started out by making films in my fourth year. So
Yeah.
I studied design and I did film and photography as part of my course, but they were not my core coursework. And then in my fourth year, I decided I wanted to make films. So that's what I did for my practical. And thankfully, I made a documentary project that I quite enjoyed making, and I showed that at Design and Daba. So I showed that there, and then after that, came back to Joburg and looked for internships. And I found one at Darling, which is the
Mm-hmm.
company that represents me, Darling Films. And yeah, I started out there as an intern. I worked in the research department. I worked with lots of other directors, helping them build and sort of like flesh out their own stories, which in turn taught me what I like needed to know. And yeah,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
4 years later, here we are. Oh, there's me as an emoji.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
No, that's cool to hear. I mean, um, I actually, funny enough, wanted to study film. I applied to UCT, I got in, and then I
Mm,
asked a simple question: when do I actually start making films? They were like, "You don't make films in the first year." I
mm,
was like, you know what? I will
mm.
see you guys later. You know.
I
So I
hear
didn't end up
you.
studying film and stuff because I wanted to make films and stuff early on and everything. But I never did up until like last year or recently. Like, yeah, I made my first
Yeah.
documentary. So
Yeah.
it's a bit different journey to yours. Um, so if I want to get into filmmaking,
Yeah.
where would you say ideally one should start? What does it take to become a film director?
I think it's like it's a really good question because the answers are many. But I think to me, firstly that you want to tell stories. But I think the biggest thing is you should I'm reading the comments, I hate.
Yeah,
The biggest thing is that you should know like a little bit about the landscape. So I would suggest
yeah,
like getting to be like being a runner, being a PA, being an assistant. I fetched coffee too. We've all been there. We all did it, and it's a one way for you to get access to set and to sort of learn and see what the industry is like on an everyday level.
yeah,
Because, like, I think people dream and want to be film directors because it is a cool job. No jokes. I love what I do. It is very
hmm,
fulfilling for me. But I think that to know you want to do it, you kind of need to see it happen and decide if you're willing to go full down the rabbit hole that is
yeah,
becoming a filmmaker.
yeah. No,
Mm.
that's amazing. That's amazing. So let's say, for example, I'm starting out. I want to make a film. How did you get representation? Like, is it and how does that work when you get a job? How do you split the monies, all that kind of stuff? Because I think that's important stuff to know and stuff, particularly in the
Mm-hmm.
commercial space. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. So, representation, how do you get representation and like
yeah,
how do you get paid?
yeah,
So I mean, how you get representation is really down to where you're at in your journey when you start talking to people. So I was fortunate enough to get representation from the company that I was working at, right? So it
mm,
was like it became a thing where we all realized what I wanted to do, and it became a thing where we worked it out, and I had to do certain things in order for them to sort of see that they were willing to like go down that road with me. But I think like getting representation is a thing that's different for everyone. Some people start out on crew doing other things, being ADs, being in camera, being in art department, and then they find an agent that way. And then others just knock on doors, and if you're really lucky, they ask you because you've made a film or something and they see your talent. But it's mainly by asking, and it's by also creating a body of work, small or large, depending on what you have access to. But you just need to be able to, when in those conversations with people that could represent you, with production companies, you need to be able to show them what you can do, not so much
yeah.
tell them what you can do.
What you can do and stuff. That's amazing. That's amazing. Someone's asking a
Yeah.
question already.
Oh,
What recommend cameras for beginners? Which is always an interesting
all
question.
right. All right. Come on, test me. Test me as a director on the camera. So it depends on what you want to do. So like if you don't feel like, you can also rent cameras firstly
Yeah,
instead of buying. But you can rent cameras. Like DSLRs make great films. I made a lot of my first films on my 7D.
yeah,
And then the Sony FS7, which is like a TV camera. Like it's
Hmm.
like a lot of people shoot on it for docus and things like that. But you can shoot and get 2K, so you can send to TV. I mean,
Hmm.
if you're balling an Ari, but it all depends on what you want to make. It's
Yeah.
very rarely about I'm buying this camera because I think it's gonna be the best camera. You choose the camera for what you want. What is like what aspect ratio are you after? How big's the sensor? Are you going full frame? Half, you know what I mean? Like you need to decide what your film is before you choose your gear.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. I thought you just pick up a camera and shoot. So I'm
I
assuming
mean, you
what,
can. I mean, you can.
yeah.
You can. But you can also waste money like that. You know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
know you're shooting all day, you're shooting outside, and like your most beautiful, beautiful, picturesque filmic shot is like a sunset. It doesn't really matter what you get unless you want it to be very bright and to deal with like the low light situation and use like a Sony Venice, which is one of the
Yeah.
most expensive cameras. Then you know why you're doing it. But honestly, I would prioritize sound.
Yeah.
Truly, if I was trying to make a film for like no money,
Yeah.
getting a sound guy.
It's super
Cameras,
important. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, because I mean, from what I've heard, like Netflix requires certain cameras, TV requires certain cameras. YouTube is different because YouTube can pretty much shoot with anything.
Mm.
So I guess so cameras are quite important and stuff. And as a film director, is it important to know such? I mean, or do you have to rely on your DOPs and all that kind of stuff?
I think if you're a director, if you're a producer, um, and obviously in camera, you need to know. I mean, I
Okay.
don't need to know every last small detail because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna operate. But I think like you should know quite a bit about the environment you're working in just to keep yourself from using superfluous gear, from getting played, like, and you should also know like what kind of sense and what kind of picture you like.
Yeah.
That's why I think a director should know, because you should know what kind of picture quality you're going to get. So like a lot of people don't like shooting on the red,
Yeah.
because of the quality that they get, but I feel like it is also down to the op. So it's just to know the nitty gritty of what your final picture will be like when you get to set. That's why you should know.
Okay. So, and I guess
Mm.
research is a critical component of being a director, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Research, yeah.
Yes.
And what's your research process? Let's say, I don't know, let's look at some of the things you've done. You've done stuff for Edgar's, stuff for Joko, all that kind of stuff. What's the research process around that? When you go and someone you want to tell a story, what are you thinking? What is inspiring you? Where are you looking also? Yeah.
Okay. So like, get the brief, get the script from agency. I would go and sort of like I write before I start to look at other things. Like I write down what I think while I'm reading said script, and
Hmm.
try work out what you like to see. Then I think because you have to create a pitch and a document that other people can look at. We all do this. We all make presentations. I would look at sometimes like cinematic things, like looking at films that have to deal with the subject matter, looking at photographs. I use a lot of like I find photography being for English, sorry. I find photography being the thing that works the best for me, because I feel like sometimes when you choose a certain film and you say, like for Joker, for example, I used a photograph from If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yeah.
And because I used that and people in the room had watched the film, they thought I wanted it to be like that scene, and I was like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. It's and that was in the company, so that was with my producer, just like sort of explaining, like, no, I just like this about it, and she's like, okay, cool. So then that's how you start to figure out where you should put it in your treatment, as opposed to like leaning on something too heavily. But
Yeah.
I write first, I look at photographs, I watch films, I yeah, that's how I would go about it. And then also occasionally I will talk to a DOP if I want to work with them, to talk to
Yeah.
them about what we would want to do.
What you want to do. And
Mm.
how important is like there's a question I saw there, but I want to ask like part of the process. So can you please just quickly explain the difference between a synopsis, difference between a log line, and a treatment and a script. Because that's something I'm
Okay.
encountering a lot lately. I don't know if that's too much of a loaded
Okay.
question.
I mean, it's a long answer. That's
Yeah.
what I want to go. So let's go with what's the first one you want?
So what's the difference between a synopsis and what do you call it, a treatment? Yeah.
Okay, cool. So a synopsis would be like a book synopsis. It's a summary of said
Okay.
written piece, right? And then a log line is like a 1-2 sentence summary of the movie. So the log
Okay.
line is even smaller version of that. And then your treatment is your it's like it's a treatment in commercials is a pitch document. A treatment in your like long form space is more like a what is it called? It's like a film, like it's a Bible. You make it
Yeah.
like a lookbook. You make it like all the things you're gonna put into your film. So like very interesting to ask. I was watching something that where Xavier Dolan was explaining how he makes his books,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes them by sort of like collecting imagery that is inspiring, working through his whole script and attaching photos to like each page and seeing how it works out. And some people like I don't know if you've seen Sila and the Bees, Tarisha Poe in her debut film, she decided to make a book, a film book or like a Bible that is so beautiful that it would be nice to keep as like a coffee table book. Like it's your everything. It's the
Yeah.
even like you can even buy some people's like Stanley Kubrick because he's passed on. His last film he was in the process of producing was Napoleon, and you can buy that book. You
Yeah.
can go see how he looked into things and how he worked stuff out. Obviously, it's very expensive, but my
Yeah.
point is that it's a book you share with your crew. So it's what you have after your treatment. But because we're like digital, like you can also have it being a digital book, obviously. But a lot of people like them to be physical as well.
Yeah. No, that's
Mm.
amazing. And then how do you protect your ideas from being stolen? That's a question that come up. Yeah.
Yo, amen. Make friends with lawyers. Ask the right questions. I think a very important thing that I'm trying to do right now is get documents made up for myself. So being a freelancer and being a freelance creative, it is quite easy to get your ideas stolen. So an important thing would be ideally with every partnership going into it with some type of like an NDA or some type of document that will protect you and your idea that the other party would sign and you guys work underneath the terms of that agreement. Does that happen every time? No. Does that happen sometimes? Yes. Do your ideas get stolen? Also, yes. It's a toughie. You have to be
Yeah.
really you put yourself out there every time you share an idea, you know?
Yeah.
And and what I'm talking about now is written ideas that you've worked on, you're sharing with people, you've already shared them while you were working. So it's quite a tricky thing to protect, but legally is the best route.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, definitely. I mean, after I get into the habit of trying to get MOUs, so
Mm,
memorandum of understanding, there's templates online, and then also independent contractor documents, just as a way of protecting ideas and also showing responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. Not everyone's going to sign them because people are douchebags
mm,
out there.
exactly.
But I think it's one of those elements of trying to protect your ideas as much as possible and stuff,
Yeah.
which is hard because sometimes you might have a document, but someone goes and tells someone else and they go make that thing and then, life
It
happens.
is it's so hard. It's so tough. Like that these questions are also hard. Eh? Like I'm just letting
Yeah,
you guys know. These are not easy questions. And it's like really important stuff, but it's very hard to do that. I'm still working
yeah,
it out. I'm still young. I'm still growing in my own field and in my own craft. And I feel like
yeah,
I'm at the stage now where I'm starting to share ideas more. But I
yeah,
know a lot of people that well not a lot of people that have mentored me or mentor me have said to me, look, people will steal your ideas. That's part of life.
yeah,
They will,
yeah,
and you have to know that by sharing your ideas, you are essentially saying you trust this person with your baby. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
who you tell is is almost more important than you telling. Like you can't tell people you don't trust.
yeah,
And Yeah. Unless it's, and I guess if it's a paid gig, whose idea was it? Do you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
they briefed you, it's not necessarily your idea alone. It is
Okay.
collaborative.
So you share
So,
the IP.
depends. I mean, are you talking about like a personal project or do you mean in the commercial sense?
Now, I mean, in a commercial sense, do you share the IP or do they own the IP immediately once it's done?
You know how tricky that is. Technically, on payment, you don't own the work anymore.
Ah,
But I feel like you should, like you were talking about, with non-disclosure agreements, memorandums of, what did you say? MOUs, memorandums of
yeah,
understanding. Things like that are supposed to protect you from having your ideas stolen. But who's to say, and how do you work that out? And I think with the IP thing, you're testing my one module of IP law right now. Good gosh. But like with IP, a photograph, if you take the photograph, you own it by clicking the actual device you created the image, right? So it's similar with film. But because film is such a collaborative effort, you can only really truly own the script. But because you are, depends on how you're hired as well. You know what I mean? Like there's so many more
yeah,
things because it is a group sport. It is a team sport at the end of the day. So you have to work out your terms before you commence a project to
yeah.
truly try keep those things in line. But in commercials, you're hired, so no, you don't own it.
Yeah,
It's the
I
brand's
agree.
work, you know?
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing to know. And then, I mean, I always believe if someone steals my idea, they're kind of saving me from, my own pain. And also it's good to see other people test out your ideas in real life. They're doing you a favor. Sometimes it's painful,
Mm,
but
mm.
sometimes I guess it is what it is, like you said. And then so this question here, would you say South African commercials have become typical and cliche again? I was going to ask you this.
Hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm. I mean, who said it? Which one? Come on
It's
with it.
Mauritius Morema.
Don't take down the whole everybody. These blind questions just assassinate the industry. Gosh. I feel like what? How do you say? What do you say? If the audience is saying that the work feels typical and cliche, then it is. Do you know what I mean? It almost doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily matter what I think because I think that there is work that is cliche. There is work that is expected, but it also has so much to do with the space we're in, the market we're in. Everything is a component and a contingent to why it comes out like that. So are
yeah.
some concepts tired and we should retire them? Yes. Do we want to? Do I want to? I mean, some of them. If Mauritius Moremi would say which ones are the ones
I
talk
can
about,
name
I mean,
some.
I could. Oh, okay.
No, I'm not gonna name like actual ads. But I'm gonna talk concepts. So for a
Uh
long
huh.
time, we all complained about the dancing black person, the singing black person,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. But it's still happening, and I'm seeing that black directors are now doing it, and that confuses me a little bit. Like why do we complained about it? I thought that was the whole reason why we were like, okay, we want inclusion so we can tell our stories more in a more different manner. But I'm still
Yeah.
seeing. I watch TV a lot lately, because
Mm.
somehow on TV, and that's been happening a lot. What is your take as a film director? Do you think that I don't know. I don't know what the question is, but yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on black directors making dancing black people ads. Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, let's put it that way.
Shazzles. People coming
I'm
in
okay with
hot
being
in the evening.
I'm okay being shot. It's fine.
Damn. I think for it to be potentially more like easier for me to like explain. I wish I knew which one you're talking about so I could like actually like have a
Yeah,
real go. But I think that it's it's complex but also very simple and like obviously in the situations where as like that get written it is a thing about who was in the
yeah,
room while those decisions were being made. Are we do we how do we want to represent ourselves? I feel like as black people I don't know, like we don't have all the decision making power. Do you know what I mean? And I think
yeah,
for some people it's quite easy to like be angry when we see it. right? And that's fair and that's right. And we shouldn't see ourselves or want to see ourselves in ways that make us unhappy. But I think we have to also really start to hold people in power accountable for the work they put out. And I think representation matters in this space so much. And we are trying to turn the needle, make things better. Everybody's trying all at once, but it is
Yeah.
a hard one. I'm not,
Yeah.
I can't answer like thankfully because I have not made one. So I don't know the inner workings of that
Yeah.
situation. But I can't imagine it being a simple situation, especially for a Black filmmaker.
Yeah.
I can't see it being simple.
Yeah.
It,
Okay.
mm,
I mean, that's interesting because I just assumptions now. Never made an ad
okay.
in my entire life. I assume that the directors that now who are more famous are able to basically push back because they are in that space because they are saying, "Oh, I know the story of the Black people. It's not just about struggle. It's also about this. Where's the ambition?" I think my comment in South African ad industry, I think, has always been like lately. Okay, I'm seeing all the Black creators in the front lines, but then I'm not
Hmm.
seeing ambition beyond the now, beyond
Okay.
the township story, beyond, okay,
Okay.
so where's that ambitious storytelling of like, I don't know, make us fly, make us do something else that is, how can I say, a bit more, not the tech scene. I get that it's reality, but also what's
Mm.
more, where's our imagination, basically? Like my son always asks me,
Oh.
imagination, what's there?
Oh, I feel like that for me, I feel like that's such a sweet thing, but also so sad at the same time. Um, I feel like we have to also, if we want the power and the responsibility to be in the hands of the filmmaker, we also have to support the filmmakers in the endeavors they make outside of commercials in
Yeah,
order to see that, because I feel like we forget that a lot of the time the process of creating a commercial it is a business communication, it's a branded communication before it is a film. And I think that it has so much to do with like the market and research and the agencies that work with these clients. And I know personally all the creatives, all the writers, the art directors, people that are working on the teams, they all want to push and they do push for very,
yeah,
very creative work. But I think that there's targets that they have to meet. There's so
yeah,
much involved beyond can we do something different? And I think when you do get the chance to push beyond concepts and ideas that we've seen a lot, you have to go for it and people do, but it's
yeah,
it's slow going. It's like it
yeah,
will be something that will take a long time to achieve
yeah,
because I feel like we're always trying to compete. We have to compete globally, but we also have to be able to work through our own things and tell our own stories. And I think if people also invested in long form, in even like short form, if people invested in film in South Africa, we would have a better balance,
oh,
not
okay.
solely relying on one thing.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting answer there. Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's a question there that says, how do you feel about the lack of constructive critic towards directors of color? Basically, a conversation Kenya Barris once raised. Interested to hear your thoughts on that. Yeah,
How do I feel about the lack of constructive criticism? Kenya Barris. Do they mean like how everybody just hated Blackish? I mean not Blackish. They hated what's the new one? What's the
yeah,
new
the
one
one
called?
on Netflix. Yeah,
Black AF. Am I? Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not gonna swear. It's okay. But
You
yeah.
can swear, it's okay. It's fine.
Is it
There are no
hard? Okay,
kids
good.
here.
I think that in that whole situation, I feel like people expected what they believed Black AF would mean. Like Black as fuck can't be a universal thing the way we
Yeah,
wanted it to be. He never promised us anything more than what he was willing to give. And I think his show got tore apart by people that
mm,
wanted something different. But I mean, he didn't say it was going to be different. We all
yeah,
put ourselves into it and we're like, what's it going to be like? And it's his life. What can we do? So I think,
yeah,
I don't know if there's a lack of constructive, it's a hard question for me to like answer exactly the way it's written, but I feel like I don't think that there's a lack of constructive criticism. I think that people aren't willing to be empathetic with how they critique these very few, also by the way, few
yeah,
Black filmmakers that have control over their shows the way that someone like Kenya Barris does. So I feel like Is it a lack of constructive criticism? Maybe. But is it also a situation wherein Black people don't get the benefit of the doubt for telling their stories as they are?
Yeah.
We want
Yeah.
people to make work that encompasses all experiences as opposed to the experience that inspired the show. Because
Yeah.
Issa Rae also gets a lot of flack for Insecure, you know, and everybody does. But I
Yeah.
think what that says to me is that as consumers, as Black people, we want a lot more, and we need to support each other's work and find a way to make more because
Yeah.
it will be better that way.
Yeah. No, thank you for that answer. That's a beautiful answer. Um, what do you think? So last question here I'm getting is, what do you think of the South African cinema right now?
Okay, I think that like right now is very, very, very poignant and hectic. COVID-19 wreaking havoc. The film industry is like really trying its best to keep going.
Yeah.
So that is a big contingent. But I think in regard to films coming out right now, there's such a big variety of the type of stories you can watch. So I think I'm a positive person. So I'm going to say obviously things can always be better, but I feel like there is very interesting work if you scratch below the surface. It just
Yeah.
depends on your taste, you know? Like, what are you after? And do you watch it? Do you support it? And do you go out there and buy tickets to watch it? You know?
Yeah.
It
Okay.
can, like, I honestly feel like as a industry, we are still growing a lot. We're still in a space where we are defining and figuring out who and what we are. And like now, Pia and James just joined. So Pia shot This Is in the Barrel to Resurrection. He's a cinematographer, very talented. And they opened Diff and they showed at Hong Kong Film Festival. And that's a
Yeah.
film also made by a director from Lesotho. So that's like a very interesting production where they worked with, I can't say the company's name, but Kate is the producer, and I feel like it's such a beautiful film, and it's one that I don't know if a lot of people actually know about. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas like commercial or more mainstream types of stories are gonna be more known, you know. So it's also a question of like, what are you after? What do we want to see? And for the person who asked, what do they think of South African cinema right now?
Yeah.
You know, like how do they feel? What do they want to see? Because I think that's the one thing where we don't have a feedback chamber. It's just sort of a one directional message of like,
Yeah.
like this is shit. Okay, this is not better. Okay, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like shooting in the
Yeah.
dark. If we don't have, that's why forums like this are so interesting. And I feel like we want to know what everybody else wants to see as well to make this a
Yeah.
little bit more constructive. What?
Yeah.
Now, ask another question. Remember when white people wrote and directed Black South African stories? There been a change in that department, user, Tutsi, etc. I'm gonna say there has been a change, definitely,
Yeah.
and I think it's only natural. And with the more shows and sort of the more shows that come out, the more we look at the credits, we see that they're written by Black people. We see that they're directed by Black people. We see that they're produced by Black people. We see more Black people are owning their own production companies and making content. So dips. That one I can give a hard yes.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I don't ask that. I watch a lot of like what you call it, Mzansi Magic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like where the black talent is supposedly thriving and all that kind of stuff. And I'm seeing, or maybe just me because I'm foreign also, so I could be biased in terms of what the South African context really looks like. But I'm finding like there's a lot of repetition of ideas in terms of storytelling. We are seeing the same ideas of Buloi, you know, all that kind of stuff. And do you think that's a reflection of where South African cinema really is at right now? Like I said, and also, why do you think that we don't get to see these beautiful films? Is it lack of marketing, or is it lack of space where these films can debut? Why do you think that is?
Okay, cool. So I think there's a lot of repetition.
Yeah,
I think that the reason is market based why things don't show on places like Mzansi Magic. I feel like that's very much MultiChoice is a company. MultiChoice is making work and content that they believe the market wants to see. And I
Yeah.
think that it becomes difficult to break that sort of like cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And even work, like I was talking about, like PS Film and like films like Morphe, films like I know Zandi was writing a TV show and that got funding, but like overseas. I know another friend who is working on a production. Like so many people are working on things that are beyond that, but to
Mm-hmm.
secure the funding is difficult. And I feel like the onus isn't only on the filmmaker, the onus is on the consumer as well to support
Yeah.
these types of things. And I think maybe even you're right, it can be a marketing issue where these things are not being told to everybody.
Yeah.
They're not being put forward in all the different ways and spaces. And I think how I know about these films because I'm in the industry. I also know about
Yeah.
them because I'm present here online where they're like sort of shared and you see them being sort of advertised. But as for why multi-choice and them don't buy different types of concepts, ish. You are
Yeah.
asking someone that wants to know desperately because they also want to do things that are going to go in those spaces. And like, like that would be an interesting thing. Speaking to how do shows get commissioned? How do music videos get commissioned? Speaking to the companies that do it, I think will be the best way to get
Yeah.
insight.
No, that's
Mm.
amazing. I mean, tomorrow we're having a producer who works in
Okay.
the TV and film, Yolanda Sakula from Seriti.
Cool.
So she'll be
Cool.
able to know us how does that world work of commissioning and how do you sell an idea and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I guess the last question is, given the opportunity to all the bank balance, everybody, what would you make?
Me. Money's no object, just out here. We're doing it like
Yeah.
proper. I would make. What would I make? Oh my gosh. I feel like people have there's so many. I don't think I
Yeah.
can choose. Okay. So first I would like write like a youth show. I think
Yeah.
like that would be something I'd want to do just because like I was a how do you say this nicely in front of people? I was a spirited youth. That's what I'll say. I was a
You're still a
spirited
youth now.
teenager. I was a naughty child, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like I would make something that has to reflect with like how it actually is to be young while I'm still young. That would be
Yeah.
my big one. I think that's what I'd want to do. And
Yeah.
then maybe like a documentary about someone super hidden that I have yet to find. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone that's just like a gem in South African history that we don't
Yeah.
recognize. Those
Yeah.
two. That's what I
Okay.
want to do.
No, thank you very much. That's all the time we got. I don't want to run too long.
Okay.
But thank you for giving us the time and the incredible answers, the honest answers, you know. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And like thanks for
Yeah.
everybody for coming and asking these questions and being
Yeah.
interested. It was a good
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
No,
man.
thank you very much. And follow Khale on her channels. Look at her work. Pay her to shoot your ads, your films, and all that kind of stuff.
Also,
And
like if
yeah,
there's cool people here, holla. Like if you got a music video vibe talking about shorts, I'm keen to talk,
yeah,
and we can see
yeah,
where we go from there. Oh wait, thanks
yeah.
guys.
No, thank you very much. And
Thank
take
you.
care. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. And yeah, wear a mask, do better in
Be
society, social
safe.
distance. Yeah, I get alcohol. Is important, but guys, please, we still want to be
Be
alive
safe.
tomorrow. Also,
Be safe. We want the New Year's,
yeah,
guys. We want the New Year's outside. Let's do this thing. Yeah, let's do this.
yeah.
Thank you
No,
so much,
thank you very
everyone.
much. No, thank you.
Okay.
Take care, huh?
Okay.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Hey guys, thank you very much. This was really incredible. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll chat to you tomorrow. Speaking to Yolanda Sakula, she's a TV and film producer, so she can talk about the business side of things and how films get commissioned, how they end up on TV, how they end up on whatever. Basically, she will talk about that kind of stuff because that's super important. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to Studio Lychee and Department of Arts and Culture for allowing me to do this. And take care. Bye-bye. This is available on our IG Live, YouTube, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Any questions? Give me a shout. Bye-bye.